Hello, good morning, and welcome back to episode number 10 of Pureblu Spotlight. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, Manish and me are the founders of Pureblu, and Spotlight is a 30-minute session held every month where we would like to share our thoughts on the three guiding pillars of Pureblu. It's called RAP, which is reliability, accountability, and productivity. At Pureblu, we have two product lines. Our SaaS platform is an easy-to-use software for air conditioning service providers to manage their customers, field resources, and trouble tickets, and the life cycle of the air conditioning and refrigeration systems. Our second product line is the Smart AMC, where multi-city, multi-location, all kinds of brands of air conditioning systems are managed as a one-stop solution under annual maintenance contracts, which also gives you an IoT device free of cost. This device sends you daily reports on your energy consumption. Uh, Remember, 70% of your energy consumption is from air cons, and a well-maintained air conditioning system can save up to 20% of your energy consumption. So great. Good to have you with us, Manish. Welcome back from the US. And hey, before we start, tell us about that Model S, the high end of Tesla. Tell us about that
The
car that you
plaid,
took it around.
yes.
The Plaid. Yeah, tell
Yeah.
us about it.
So first of all, welcome back, everyone. 10th episode. I can't believe we've done 10 of these so far. So,
That's right.
it's kind of gone by pretty fast. But yeah, I was in the US for quite some time and I did a lot of car stuff. And one of the highlights of it was renting the EV from Tesla. And this is the Model S, which is their high-end version. And there's one in that the Model S is called the Plaid, which is actually the fastest production car ever made. So when you think of Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsche 911s, all of them, not one car can beat this Tesla Plaid at all. So it's the fastest car.
Nice.
It can do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 2 seconds flat, which is unbelievable. So not only is it the speed that is crazy, but it's the technology in that car just blew me away. I mean, really. I mean, whatever you have to say about Elon Musk, some people find him crazy, kind of off kilt, whatever it is. But I must say the technology and his thought process in that car is unmatched. It's because of him, I think, really, that the car industry is moving in the way it's going, whether it's EVs, whether it's all the technology. Because when you look at other cars now, you look at whether it's, a Hyundai or a Kia, they never really were thought of like, tech, companies. But now the technology in those cars is just unbelievable. And it's all because of Elon. So, yeah, my views on these high-end sports cars that are gasoline, petrol powered are kind of like, I don't understand why you buy them anymore. It doesn't make sense because the car I had 4 doors, could fit 5 people, put all of your groceries, your, golf bag, whatever you want in the back seat, and it works, and it's
Nice.
fast. So, but yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. And so I'm now on the EV train. I completely get it. And I think for India, it's a great thing. Of course, we do have a lot of things to get to where we need to go with charging infrastructure, things like that. But I give you an example right now where, oil is at or almost hit like $110 a barrel. And one of the reasons why the rupee is where it is today is because, our biggest, outflow of money is to buy oil so we can use in India. Now, imagine if that entire grid or a lot of that grid was powered by, let's say, solar power or something like that, then we wouldn't have to worry about, importing so much oil. So that is, something to think about. It's not something that's going to happen in one day. It'll definitely take a long time. But EVs are the first step towards getting off of fossil fuels and using alternative energy, whether it could be wind powered, who knows, could be solar energy. All these things could really power these cars and the entire transportation network in the future. And of course, we've got a lot of scooter companies looking at it as well. So it's a step in the right direction. And, I guess we can all thank Elon for that. So, yeah, that
Awesome.
was
Too
my,
good.
yeah.
You're one lucky guy to try that out, man. Too good. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get to today's session. One of the most important things when it comes to air conditioning is 70% of the energy consumption in a facility is from air conditioning. And today we're going to talk about the challenges enterprises face with their aircon and how it impacts their business. So to get started, Manish, you've been with various enterprises. So what's your take? I mean, what are the challenges that enterprises usually face?
So what ends up happening is, like you mentioned, enterprises have, multiple locations, multiple operations all across. And I think one of their biggest issues is, right, really trying to understand how to monitor and maintain what is essentially one of their biggest, energy costs, which is, like you mentioned, air conditioning. And so if you're a mall, yes, you've got parking you have to worry about, but the biggest issue for a mall is maintaining and controlling that air conditioning, because that is really where a large part of their costs go. And I would say that's kind of what we've been looking at, is how do we fix that life cycle? How do we monitor it, maintain it, all of that? So one is, from the entire thing, like from the installation to the monitoring of it. And it's very easy to monitor, let's say, one or two devices in, like, let's say, one location. The question is, as you grow, and that's one of the challenges I find, in emerging markets like India, is it's great to, you see a lot of, people do really good with one or two locations and that's it. But then for them to grow, it becomes difficult, because the reason why you can maintain one or two good locations is because you've got direct oversight onto what's happening. So you can monitor the quality control of whatever you're selling. You can monitor the energy costs, all of that, because you can physically go visit it. Now, the question is, if you all of a sudden have 100, 200, 300 locations, how do you do it? And that's kind of where, Pureblu really kind of comes in, saying, hey, just like you kind of, offload your maintenance for other things to companies, you kind of offload all of your HVAC to Pureblu, and we, maintain it, monitor it, spare parts, servicing, giving you information about it. And that's kind of what this episode is going to talk about, is we're going to talk about, some of the things we're doing where it's just not installing the air conditioning and then praying that it doesn't break. We want to be able to, talk about how we can help you maintain it. And then if it does break, we can actually do, what we call predictive maintenance. And that's kind of really what we're talking about, is that entire life cycle. So that's at a high level. But, like I said, I've seen it. We've got a couple large clients, and, I'd like to know from you, Ajit, because you've been in this industry for quite some time. And you probably have focused a lot around on the hospitality industry. And I think that's one of the unique things, is if you talk about, let's say, homeowners, of course, they do have a 24/7 nature of, having their machines working 24/7, but it's not as critical as, let's say, as a hotel. Because if a hotel has a room that doesn't have a functioning air conditioning unit, not only is that unit not working, but that is actually lost revenue. So when we say 24/7 for hospitality, I think you can probably shed some light on it, and kind of tell us how it works with, multiple locations, multiple brands.
So, Manish, one of the biggest takeaways that I've been in this industry for over 25 years now, and one of the biggest learnings is, large chains have a challenge. You spoke about the hospitality industry. Hospitality industry, you can break into two parts. One is the hotels by itself, which is like 100 room, 200 room, 300 room hotels. And the other is the restaurant chains. When you say restaurant chains, these are chains like McDonald's, Pizza Hut, so many of them, Subways. There's so many of these kinds of restaurants across the country. These are all, these restaurants can be close to about 500, 600 across the country. Or for that matter, retail chains. Let's say like a Metro Shoes. Metro Shoes has got about 600 outlets across the country. Now, when it comes to restaurants, let's take restaurants. If the aircon break, if the aircon has a failure, and if it's not fixed, what happens? The business walks out. And that's the biggest challenge they have. The business walks out, because you wouldn't want to sit in a restaurant where it's stuffy, where it's humid, and it's not comfortable. You'd say, okay, I'll come back later, or I don't want to eat here, especially when there are multiple choices. So that's the big challenge. Now, see it from a restaurant's perspective. This is not a core activity for them. They are in the business of food, and air conditioning is not a core activity for them. But most of these guys now have to have an admin team which can deal with multiple vendors and multiple trouble tickets at multiple locations, and keep chasing all these guys to say that, hey, what's happening to this? Have it been fixed? If it's not fixed, how are we going to solve it? It's a nightmare. Most of them have to go through. Now, let's take the hotels. Now, the hotels are the 100 room, 300 room hotels. Now, if a hotel room aircon fails, you need to fix it quickly, especially when let's take a situation where season time, you have 80, 90% occupancy and you don't have the extra rooms available, then what do you do? Or if it's a banquet which is going on and there is a huge banquet is already in process out there and the aircon fails, it needs to be fixed. And often the hotel chains that we work with, most of the customers, even though they are happy with the whole services and the facilities that the hotel has given, they end up going to TripAdvisor and they say that, yeah, okay, it was just an okay stay, but this air conditioning failed and they couldn't fix it. And that's there forever. And it affects their brand. It's a nightmare for all these guys. And for them, is they need a solution which is two fronts. One is, how can we actually get real-time information? How can we make sure breakdowns are reduced? We don't have so many breakdowns. Is there a way to actually predict it? Is there a way to actually reduce these things? And the other most important thing, the major component of their running cost is energy consumption. Is there a way for me to monitor energy consumption, especially on the air conditioning front, whereby I can save some energy, because that money that is saved goes straight into their profit? And the need for a one-stop solution, and that's exactly what we've been doing. For example, Isprava has got very high-end villas across the country, a fabulous chain. And their biggest challenge has been, how do you actually not spend lots of people trying to track all these things, and how do I get real-time information of what's happening at the various villas, and every time they have a problem? And Pureblu comes as a great support service for them, because it's got WhatsApp integration. Anybody from there can actually just post a message on WhatsApp. The system picks it up and identifies which is the right machine and sends the technician immediately, all automated. And that's the wow factor for them. And when it gets fixed, they get an update on WhatsApp saying that, hey, this has been fixed, and the system updates them. So there's a wow factor around it. It takes the monkey off their back, and this is a pain point. And I guess for us, what is the most important thing is, we are getting all this history, and that's what we want to use to build our platform. So having worked with lots of these retail chains, hospitality chains, we've learned a lot from these customers. And Manish, we've been using all that information. Every week we review all these information. And over the last 3 years, since we launched Smart AMC and our and our SaaS products, why don't you share how we've actually improvised on our product over the last 3-4 years, purely from customer feedback, because you led those changes within the organization.
Right. So, I'll tell you, one of the things, you mentioned is Sprava, so I was going to get to that. But one of the things when we talk to enterprise customers is they're saying, we need not just for you to maintain them, but we also want you to monitor our equipment. So that's kind of one of the things we've looked at. Two things they say, really. One is monitoring of equipment, and second is we want an easier way for us to interact with Pureblu and open up trouble tickets. So let me take the first one, which is around opening up trouble tickets. So when we first kind of launched, we said, hey, why don't we have an app for everyone? So we have obviously an app for the technician, because they're going to be able to create the trouble ticket on the phone. But then the other thing we were looking at doing was creating an app for the consumer. So they would download an app, they would enter their details, and all of their machines would be there. But then as we started thinking about it, we just realized that, gosh, consumers, do they want yet another app to install? And the answer is probably not. And especially when it comes around something like this maintenance. I've got an AquaGuard water filter, and they have an app. And I used the app once or twice, and I just thought it was a complete waste. And then I realized that they also have a WhatsApp integration chatbot. And that was amazing, because my phone number is linked to their back end. I was able to basically, go through all the menu options, and I was able to get a service, technician to come to fix the specific AquaGuard that I had a problem with. And that's kind of the exact same tact we've taken on the creating of trouble tickets, as we now have WhatsApp integration. We said, why fight the tide and try to create a new app and a whole way of teaching people how to use the app? It's very easy. Everybody knows how to use WhatsApp, and everyone's interacting with these chatbots, and that's the same thing that we do. So Isprava really likes it, because now they've got like however many of their field reps are in the field, working and monitoring. If they come across a device that is not working, they can just go directly to our chatbot, and they go into WhatsApp, and they can say, this is the villa and this is the machine, and boom, it's done. It's so easy. It's not like they have to log into an app. And the reality is, if you're not using an app every day, you kind of lose track of how they do things. And that's one of the things we looked at, was saying they really want to ease the communication, and then also the response comes back on WhatsApp, so it's very easy, that whole closing of the loop. So that was the first thing they said, is we want to be able to open up trouble tickets much easier. And the great thing about the Isprava model is, the reality is, the way Isprava works is, they build the homes and then they rent them out. So that's one of the businesses. And so the reality is, they're doing a lot of projects all across India. And so they need to be able to go at scale. This is not going to work where they just have someone that's going to help them on, 5, 10, 15 machines, because every villa they build probably has 6, 7 devices in the villa. And if you have times that by, like, let's say 100 new villas, that's a lot. So that's one of the things that they really, were happy about. The second thing was actually the IoT device that we built. So we kind of did a proof of concept in-house, and then we got it, manufactured by someone in Bombay. But that device is really useful for them, is because now all of a sudden they know, per location, how much electricity is being consumed. And one of the things is, although it's at a very high level, it gives you some sort of indication of, is this normal energy consumption or it's not. So if you've got a villa that's, open, let's say for 10 days, and 8 days the consumption is normal, and then all of a sudden on the 9th day there's something wrong, then at least you have an idea. Hey, let's find out what really happened on the 9th day and kind of dig into what the issue is. Is it maybe one of the machines has gone crazy, and because of that it's drawing more electricity? But at least it's a starting point. So that's kind of really what enterprises are looking for, and that's how we've built, and we've also improved our technology stack, is really listening to the feedback of the customers, because at the end of the day they're the ones that are paying for these products. So if we're going to push something, they better be using it. And really it's been around WhatsApp integration and around the IoT devices. So now we're just getting a lot of data coming into the platform, and we have a very easy way for customers to interact with us on the way of opening up trouble tickets. So that's kind of what we've been doing. But like I said, one of the things that I've noticed is, a lot of the information that we get, though, is more of, tactical right now. Like I said, it's not strategic really, because it's very high level information. So we're getting energy consumption, let's say at a building level or a campus level, but not individual machine level. So I think, maybe if you can talk a little bit about our long-term strategy and what we think the solution is on that, Ajit.
Sure, Manish. But before I take that, I have a very interesting question here, which has come from Alok. Alok says, what about the pharma industry? Trust me, this has a direct impact on your business, because you run you need specific humidity control, just not temperature control. Because when you have tablets and when you have capsules which are being made, you need certain kind of, and even if you're an OEM manufacturer, which is manufacturing, there are certain regulations that require. And often when that fails, you have a problem on your hand, because it affects your production, it affects the quality of it. And that's where the problem lies. How do I actually solve that problem? And that's most important. And like the hospitality industry, this industrial application of pharma is also extremely. Sorry. So that's a big challenge, and they need to actually fix that problem. So coming from a tactical to strategic issue, I think you should just take it up. I just solve this problem for you. 1 second, just give me a few minutes. I think Manish, you're muted. You just need to unmute.
So one of the things I was saying is, long term, we get a lot of data coming in, and people talk about, big data. They talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, algorithms. These are all buzzwords that people hear on a daily basis. But I'll give you a practical application. I'll give you a practical application to what we do at Pureblu. The idea is in the long term, we'll get all of this data coming in, and let's say we're monitoring, let's say 10 machines that are of the identical model and brand. We'll be able to monitor their characteristics. So when I say characteristics, Not only is it the energy consumption, we can also monitor the vibration. So these outdoor units have a certain vibration noise. So if you hear it, you know that it's working fine. So the idea is you start taking all of this data in, and vibration is just really a noise. So it's really just it's kind of understanding the sequence of the noise pattern, monitoring it, and then matching it against something that it doesn't sound normal. So we're taking all this data in. It's not rocket science. I know a lot of people like to say, oh my God, we're doing AI machine learning. There is some of it to some extent, but the reality is it's just basic stuff. If I see an energy value of 12 for the last 12 days, and then the number goes to 25, then you can pretty much kick up an alarm saying, hey, there's something wrong. So the idea is to take all of this data and start aggregating it and really being proactive. And in vibration, that's a big thing. Same thing in your car. When you start, feeling something is wrong in your car and it's shaking, you know right away that there's something wrong with the car. What, you don't really know yet, but at least you know it's not normal because you've driven your car for so many kilometers in one way, and now it's, behaving in another way. And that's the same thing that's happening with, when we talk about big data and all these machines, they're providing all the data. And that's the reason why everybody is so key on IoT, is because you're basically putting a monitor on that device, and you can start monitoring the health characteristics of it. And then based on that, you can apply a bunch of different, rules based on what the characteristic is of that. And that's really what we talk about, moving forward with, AI, ML, machine learning. Because the thing is, I've given you an idea. So really what machine learning is it takes something and it listens to it the whole time. If it finds that it is out of the normal, it'll throw up a flag. It won't tell you that, hey, there's something wrong with this machine because of the pump is not working. What it'll do is it'll throw out a flag saying, hey, there's something that's abnormal, and then you need to take a look at it. And that's and then we as Pureblu will add that additional layer on top of it, saying, you know what, 5 out of 10 times that this has happened, this is because of a certain pump or a belt, and now we know. Then we can actually add our own intelligence on top of it. Really, machine learning just kind of tells you the abnormal or the irregularities, and then you have to kind of add your own intelligence on top of that. And that's kind of what we're trying to do.
And that's the future.
That is the future.
And that's the future. You don't have a choice, because the idea is not about, when I have a breakdown, I attend to it. Of course, that's the real-time, real-world tactical problem to solve right now. And that's exactly it. But the future is all about how do you prevent one? It's all about predictive maintenance. Now, for that, that's what you explained, right? I mean, we're getting so much of data, not only on the life cycle of the product, on the history of the machine, of various kinds, at various locations, in various applications, like we had it in hotels, we have it in retail outlets, we have it in pharma. And all that information is going to build a model for us where we can start predicting and saying that, hey, can we make a better product that fails less? Or can we do something whereby these equipments do not fail? What are the changes that can be done? And how do you actually build a product whereby energy consumption can be reduced? Because this entire industry is not data based. And that's the game plan that we really want to change, whereby energy consumption going to be net zero. We've already committed by 2070 as a country to be net zero. The Prime Minister has committed that, and air conditioning has a huge role to play around that, because 70% of the energy consumption comes from air cons, whether it's a residential or commercial applications. And it's a mechanical product. It continues to fail. And the only way to do that is to build predictive maintenance model. And that predictive maintenance model can come from data. And that's what Pureblu is all about. We're actually not only solving an industry problem, but actually building a futuristic model as to how we can make sure these equipments don't fail and build better products. And I guess that's the exciting part of our business. And I think, Manish, as you laid it out, it's AI and ML that's going to play all that trick.
Yeah. So, one thing is, we talked about it at a very high level, but I think maybe, for the audience, let's bring it down to a case study. I think you said you had one recently with one of your clients, the Diplomat Hotel, and that's kind of you almost applying your AI ML. But now imagine doing that to all of the clients.
So let me explain to this. Now, there's a hotel, and that hotel has been using air cons from the time. It's one of the oldest well-known hotels. And this is something which data just realized. And I just get a call from the owner, and he tells me that, listen, Ajit, your services has gone bad. And I was like, it's a wake-up call. When a customer comes and tells you something like that, especially a customer who's been with you for 20, 25 years, it's a wake-up call. And he said, oh my God, what happened? So we kind of started evaluating what could have gone wrong. So he says, no, your guys all show up. I mean, so we started looking at, the guys show up on time, but they're there every day here. So I said, oh, okay, is there a pattern? Is it the same guy coming out there? So we looked at the numbers and we said, and of course, thanks to Pureblu, we have all that information. So we looked around it and we said that, no, it's not the same guys, different guys. So why is it going wrong? So went around, checked. We just couldn't understand what was happening. Only then to realize that we looked at the age of the air conditioner. And when we looked at that age of the air conditioner, they were all 15 years and 16-year-old machines. Wow. Now, that's when I went and told the customer, I said, hey, the life of the product is only about 9 to 10 years. You've already used it for 15, 16 years. And that's fantastic. But he had a very valid point. He said, dude, it's still cooling, right? All right. And if my energy consumption is on the higher side and the breakdowns on the higher side, how am I supposed to know? You have to tell me that. You are my service provider. And that's what data can do. You can advise your customers, and the customers expect that from you. Most of us don't understand that. Customers expect that from you to advise them correctly when it comes to technical products like an air conditioning system, which has got very limited know-how or knowledge, or with the generic users. So I guess that was a big learning. The second big learning we had was when a customer called me up and he said that, hey, you know what? I have got the same air conditioner. This is in one part of the suburbs of the city, and one is in South Bombay. I've got the same air conditioner in my office, which is in the suburbs, and in the and at my residence. My one at the suburbs always seems to be having a problem where the refrigerant is leaking, and the same machine in my house doesn't give a problem. So that was like a wake-up call. He said, yeah, why is it so that the same machine, same brand is giving a problem? So we actually bought the data, took the data out from Pureblu, and we put it together region-wise. Say, for example, within that suburb, we took up all the customers of different machines, and hey, you know what we realized? We realized all the machines in that area seems to be having a very similar problem of refrigerant leaks, more than the average refrigerant leaks, which is a leak which comes because of corrosion. So I kind of actually reached out to the Mumbai Municipal Corporation, having a friend out there, and I asked him, is there anything that's there in the air out there? And he said, yes, of course. That was marshy land. We actually recovered that and we converted it, and we reclaimed those land. And you know how we reclaimed that land? We reclaimed it through garbage. So obviously the sulfur content is high. Bango.
Wow.
Can you see how that pattern? This is what data is powerful. And all we had to do is, thereafter, every machine out there, we had to do a special coating to make sure that the sulfur doesn't act onto it. And we were able to bring down that failure rates dramatically. That's the power of data. And that's the biggest realization that we have, is that, listen, this needs to be a data-driven business. And only then can you build in predictive maintenance. And to be very honest, at Pureblu, I think that's what we are aspiring. That's what we want to do. We want to not only resolve the current problem, but also build predictive models, because we see a huge advantage in playing a big role both for the environment and for the industry. So that's a big takeaway. So I guess, Manish, we just have enough time to just wrap this up. Do you want to say something before we actually summarize and go ahead and close the session?
No, that's it. I mean, I think, like you said, data is the key. So, the thing is, there are several startups out there that are doing something similar to what we're doing. The difference is we're part of that entire ecosystem. We do from the installation all the way to the servicing piece. That's the difference. You will have these very small bit players that say, hey, we'll provide the technology, you install the devices, we will tell you that something is wrong, and then that's it. But everything else, they don't do. And I think that's where a lot of these, startups and other companies will fail, is because they're offering a very single point product. And right now, customers, they just want the entire headache to be managed by someone else. And that's kind of what we do, from the installation all the way to the servicing, and also the recycling of that machine. So that entire life cycle of that machine we handle, versus just, a specific tech product. And so we are very tech focused, but we handle everything else as well.
Amazing. So great. So before we wind up, guys, never too late and never too shy to make a sales pitch. So if you are a service provider watching us, that's the number you can call. We'll be happy to give you a demo of our product line and see how it can do wonders for your business in providing the wow factor services for your customers. Having said that, if you are a customer or if you are a person who's using air conditioners, but for your offices, for your residences, and you want a better service, you want energy monitoring, and Smart AMC is that solution. The number is up on the screen. Give us a call or drop an email, and we will have our team get in touch with you. So that's for today's session. Thank you for joining us today. And please remember, 70% of your energy bills, both in commercial and residential applications, can come from air conditioners, and a well-maintained air conditioning system can bring down those bills by 20%. So if you are looking for reliable, certified services, pan-Indian, one-stop solution, give us a call, and we'll be happy to find a solution for you. So awesome. Thank you so much. Just about 30 minutes. And
Perfect.
thank you to all our viewers who's been with us and who's been consistently writing to us. Look forward to hearing from you on this session too. Till we get back to you next month with another topic. Thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful
Thanks,
weekend.
everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.